this to record. Okay. All right. So today we're going to go ahead and we're going to start working on the hands-on practice activities in the book. All right. So if you have the book with you, if you want to follow along, what I'll do is I'm going to share my screen and you can see the different activities that I'm going to do here. I'm going to go pretty much through the steps in the book, but you can follow along with the book as well. And this will be recorded, and I'll post the YouTube link to this later today or tomorrow morning. So you can always go back and rewatch if you missed anything during the Zoom session here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on page, I guess, 29 and 30 is the first one. Okay. So get a couple more people logging in here, get them in. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay. All right. Okay, so first thing that you're going to do when you start in the Canvas course here, there should be a link right here in the modules, and this will be the same for each week and each activity. So this one we're going to start with class activity chapter 2. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and you're going to want to go ahead and download the chapter 2 .zip file. So I'm going to click on that and get it downloaded. All right, I'm going to jump out here. I got a shortcut file folder here, and go ahead and unzip that. So I'm just using the Windows default compression application. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag this chapter 2 file out to my desktop. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And what you want to do is go ahead and make a new folder. So I'm going to right click and go to new folder. And I'm going to just call this one, I think in the book they give you, like you can name it My Chapter 2. And this folder is where I'm going to save all the files that I create. So kind of have a place to store them as I work on them. All right. Okay, so now I got that downloaded. Shouldn't need any more. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open brackets. Okay, when you open up brackets, the first thing you'll see is kind of this index HTML. This is just kind of their intro file. You can go ahead and close that right here on the left. I'm going to hit that little X and close that. And okay, we're going to go ahead and get started then with this first one. The first thing I'm going to do is create a new HTML document here in brackets. Okay, so I'm going to go File, New. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this. So I'm going to do a File, Save As. And I want to save that into my new folder that I made, so chapter 2, My Chapter 2. And I'm going to name this, I'm just going to name it index.html. And that's just kind of the standard filing, kind of the standard way you will name a, like your main homepage file. So this one's going to just be index.html. Go ahead and save that. All right, so on page 30, at the bottom there, we're going to type in the code that they have, okay? So the first thing we're going to start off with is that docu-type. So start off from opening bracket and then doc type, HTML. close that. And then we have to tell it the language. So opening bracket HTML LANG equals, and then English, so EN. Okay, and you'll notice as I'm going through typing stuff here in brackets, it's kind of a smart program, so it a lot of times knows what you're wanting to do here. So you'll just see when I close that first opening tag there, it knew that I needed a closing HTML tag. Okay, so it automatically put that in for me, which is kind of nice. And most programs will do this, like Visuals, Studio Code, or Dreamweaver, other ones like that. Okay, so remember we had to have a head section. So I'm gonna do the head section here. Again, it did the opening or the closing tag there for me. And then I want to create a title for my page. Okay, so this goes inside the head section. All right. So my title is going to be my first HTML, HTML5 web page. All right, so we got our closing tag. The other thing that we're going to add into our head section here is the character set. So we're going to do meta CHAR set, and so you'll notice here this is something that brackets will do as well. It'll kind of give you suggestions for your code, and so you can just hover over that and click on it, and it'll go ahead and insert that for you, so you don't have to type it all out. And I'm going to do UTF-8. So again, see it already gave me the choice there. So I'll click on that. The only thing I'll need to do then is just close that up with that closing bracket. Okay, so that's pretty much it then for the head section. We're just going to make a really simple page here. The next thing we're going to do is add the body. All right, so opening body tag. And yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I got lost in the brackets when I made a new file. It wasn't indexed and it wouldn't let me change that, and it's giving me errors. So I was wondering if you could just go back to creating that initial file.
Oh yeah, yeah. So when you create an initial file, all you got to do is so you would go to File and then click on New.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then it'll open up just a blank page like this.
Yeah.
And then before you start doing anything, just go to File, Save As. And then you're going to want to save that into your folder there and just title it down here in the file name, index.html, and then hit save.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to find that folder. It's okay. And then you said index.html, right? Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I haven't done this on Windows before.
Okay.
Okay. All right. There we go. Thank you.
Yep. No problem. Yeah. If anybody has any trouble as I'm going along here, feel free to unmute your mic and just ask the question. That's perfectly fine. We would be doing the same thing in the classroom. So. All right. And. Okay, yeah, you guys can use the chat as well. I'll try to keep up with the chat. Okay, so get back to where I was here. Close that one. Okay, so another thing that brackets do, it'll add these like auto tabs for you as well. For this, I'm just going to keep everything kind of flush to the left. Okay, so we have on line 7 there, we have our opening body tag, and then line 9, we've got our closing one, and then I'm just going to put some text in here, and this is just the content that I want to show up on the browser window. So hello world, and that's it. We got our closing body tag, and we got our closing HTML tag. All right, so pretty much for any HTML file, these are just the basic things that you need in order for it to work. You need the opening HTML tag there. With that language equals, you need to have your head section, so opening, closing head tag, title, the character set, and then you need to have your body with the opening and closing body tag. And then pretty much anything that's going to show up on the browser window is going to be in between the two body tags there. And then the final thing is just that closing HTML tag. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do file save, save that. And then to test this, in brackets, there's this over here on the right side of the window. It says live preview. It's like a little lightning bolt. Just go ahead and click that. I'll give you an option here. Just say OK. And what it's going to do is it's going to load this up into a browser for us, a window. All right. So I'm using Chrome as my default. But so let's take a look here. So you can see we got our title up there, my first HTML5 web page. And then we have our text, the hello world, which we had right there in the body section. All right. So it should look like that. All right, so I'll give everybody a second here. And if we're in the book, we've kind of gone through all this on page 30 and 31, and then 32 as well. We went ahead and checked that.
I think I just realized something. Apparently, if you don't have Chrome, it won't let you live preview because I don't have Chrome installed on my Windows browser. So.
Okay. Okay. You can always manually open that up in like Firefox or a different browser as well.
Okay.
So you just have to open the browser and then like, so for example, if I got, I don't want to update Firefox right now. So I'm in Firefox here. I could just go to Control-O or File Open and find that file that we just did here on the desktop, my chapter 2 index, and open that. And there we go.
Okay.
Okay. Same with if you're on a Mac, you can do the same thing with Safari or Firefox or whatever you got. Alrighty. Hide this first. Okay. Your first web page. So, like I said, super simple. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to jump to practice activity 2.2. And for this one, we're going to open one of those files that we downloaded to start off with from Canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And I'm going to stay here in brackets. I'm just going to go to File, Open. And I'm going to go to Desktop, jump back to Chapter 2. Okay, so the one that we downloaded from Canvas. And I'm going to open that up. And the one that we want to grab here is Template. Okay, so I'm going to open that guy up right there. And so the nice thing here with this template file, we've already got this all kind of saved, just the basics, so we don't have to retype that every time we start a web page. So, and that's kind of a standard practice too. You usually have some of these HTML files, kind of template files already set up for you that you'll use to start. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is let's, so we're on page 34, we want to add in those headings. So remember we had like H1 through H6 as those different heading levels. Okay, so let's start with the title here. We're going to call this heading example. All right, and then I'm going to jump down here to the body, so line 8. All right, so we're going to start off with the H1. So opening bracket H1. And we're going to call this heading level 1. All right, so after that one, I'm going to hit return or enter and make a new line here. And now we're going to do an H2. And we'll just call it heading level 2. Nothing too complicated here. And we're just going to keep doing this for all 6 of them And that way, when we load it in the browser, you'll see kind of those different sizes that it'll produce. H4, H5. And we'll get the last one here, H6. Okay, so once we're done with that, I'm going to do a file save as, because we don't want to call it template, and I want to go ahead and save that into my chapter 2 folder. And we're going to just call this one heading .html. All right, so let's preview this one and see what's going on. See if we got it to work. All right. Okay, so you'll see the browser just automatically through the kind of the standards that we talked about starts resizing these from biggest down to smallest, right? And then once we get into the CSS, kind of like I mentioned on Monday, we'll be able to change fonts and specific size and color, things like that. All right. Okay, so let's close that one out. All right, I'm gonna go to 2.3 here. And for this one, we're gonna insert some paragraph text, okay? So I'm just gonna keep this same file open that I had called heading.html. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna change the title here. We're gonna call this one paragraph example. All right. And then right under the heading level H1, I'm gonna hit enter and make a new line here. And we're gonna go ahead and start our paragraph text. Okay, so remember we're gonna use the P element. All right, and so and this is on page 36 in the book if you're following along. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a couple extra lines here. Drop that closing P tag down there to other line. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put in my text here in between these. All right, so I'll just use the text they have in your book. This is a sample paragraph. All right, I gotta get my glasses on here. All right. Tags can help make your pages more accessible. And usable. Practice. I got typo. Tags to outline the structure of your web page content. Okay. All right, so we got our text in here. Got our opening and closing P elements. And so now I'm going to do a file save as. And let's just call this one. We're going to save it back into that same My Chapter 2 folder. We're just going to call it paragraph.html. And let's take a look at it in the browser. All right. So you can kind of see here, should look about like that. All right. And you'll notice with that P element, it does add some some extra space there, and with the H1, the heading elements as well. It adds in some extra space for us. But we can get more refined as far as like how much line space and stuff we're using once we get into the CSS later on, like next week when we start getting into that. Okay, so the next one's just the next page, 37 here in the book. We're going to add a line break. That's the only thing we're going to change here. So remember, line break is kind of like that if we want to do like a hard return, same as like if you're in Microsoft Word. Okay, so to do that, we just do our brackets there with BR. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this one as do file save as line break.html. And if we take a look at it, we should have a line break. Yep, right after that first sentence there. We're telling it to take that next sentence and drop it down to the next line. Alrighty. Okay, we're going to move on now to 2.5 on page 38 of the book. So block quotes. So remember, these are elements where it kind of indents the text a little bit, and it's kind of like if we wanted to have some text that's kind of stands out on our page. So let's go ahead. I'm going to close this file, and I'm just going to reopen. So go to open. In chapter 2 folder, our template file that we started with. All right, so let's change the title here to block quote example. So now down in our body, let's go ahead and add a H1. And call this the power of the web. Okay, and then we're going to do a paragraph element. And the type of text they have here, according to Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web. Address here, www.w3.org/WAI. Okay, and then we're going to end our paragraph element there. Okay, so let's add in our, oh, we already got our closing p tag, so we're good. Okay, so then what we want to do is we're going to have the little quote there. Okay, so this is like a quote that he had from that website, and we're going to start out here with this block quote element. Okay, so block quote, and it says, or he says, the power of the web is in its universality. Kind of a hard word to say there. Access by everyone, regardless disability. Is an essential aspect. Okay, and then we got our closing block quote tag there. All right, so let's do a file save as, and we'll just title this one block quote.html. Make sure that you're saving your, like I almost goofed up there. I don't want to save it in that chapter 2 folder. I want to go and save it in my chapter 2. And let's call it block quote.html. And let's take a look at it. All right, so you can kind of see here we have that paragraph element, starting our paragraph there. And then we have the block quote, which it went ahead and added some extra line space there before it. And if I shrink my window down, you can kind of see there, it kind of looks more like it does in the book. All right. Okay. All right, so let's get into some of the lists. All right, so remember we talked about ordered and unordered lists. Okay, so like ones that use either a number, like a numbered list, or a bulleted list. Okay, so we're going to go to page 41 and close this out. And let's go ahead and open up that template file again. So you should be able to just go to open recent and template.html. All right, so page 41, let's change the title of this one to heading and list. All right, I'm gonna jump down to the body section here. So on the next page, let's add a H1 called My Favorite Colors. All right. And then we're going to do, we're going to start our ordered list. So this one is going to use the numbered list, okay, or ordered list is how we refer to it. Okay, so this one we're going to start with the OL, which stands for ordered list. All right, so we got to make sure we have an opening and a closing. And then inside that list, and here I am going to go ahead and tab over just so that visually I can kind of see a little bit of the difference here. We're going to start with our first list element or list item. Okay, so blue. All right, so we have the opening and the closing tags there. And then we're going to do another one. And this one's going to be teal. And then one more. Whoops. Red. Okay. So those lists, whoops, I see an error. Put a number one there for some reason. LI. Okay, so that all looks good. And let's go ahead and save this as, do file save as in my chapter 2, and I'm going to title this one OLA.html. And if I go ahead and preview it, all right, so you can see here how it automatically, the browser started numbering that list there for us, and it kind of indents it as well. It's kind of a default, just like if you would use the bullet selection tool in Word, it'll kind of indent that for you. All right. So now let's, we're basically just use the same file, okay? So let's just change this to an unordered list. All right, so I'm gonna just change that OL to a UL, go down here to the closing tag, change that to UL. All right, so that's pretty much all we're gonna do, and we'll just see how that changes. And let's just do a file, save as. This one we're just going to call ul.html for unordered list. And let's preview that. All right, so see, it just changed it to the bullets instead of the numbers. Alrighty, how are we doing on time? Got about 15 minutes left. Okay. All right, so let's do one more here in the list section. Let's do this description list. Okay. Close this out. And we'll just use this same file that we have. Let's just change the title to description list. I'll just get rid of all this body section here. Delete that out. Okay. So remember with the description list, they have kind of a picture there on page 44 of what it should look like. We're going to start out with the DL tag here, the DL element. All right, so opening, closing one. And then I'm going to go ahead and tab over here on line 9, and we're going to start then with the DP element. All right, so whoops. This is kind of the, like I said, our title of our different list items. So this one's going to be TCP. All right, and then right under the DP, I'm going to tab over one more time here. We're going to use the DD element, and this is kind of our description. All right, so in the book, transmission, control, protocol. All right, and I'm not going to type all that out because I'm not a very fast typer, but you'll get the picture here. So, okay, so then we got our closing DD tag. All right, so we want to do another item here in our list. So again, we're going to do right after that DD, closing DD tag, we're going to do another DP. This one is going to be IP. All right, and we're going to tab over and do another DD element. So IP, internet, protocol. Oops, I misspelled that up there too. Is the method. All right, again, I'm not going to type all that out. It'll take too long. And then let's just do one more here. The last one. Another DP, and this one is FTP. And then right under that, let's do one more description. So hyper. Oh, whoops, I started going to the. This one's just file transfer protocol. All right. Okay, in the book, they have another one there for HTTP. We don't need it. You guys will, you kind of hopefully get the point here. But let me go ahead and file save as, and I'll just title this one description.html. And let's take a look at it here. All right. Oh, I forgot my H1 tag at the beginning. But that's okay. You guys saw that before. But the main thing here to see is if it's formatting it correctly, which it is. We have our titles here for each of our description items. Okay, so TCP, IP, and FTP. And then for the description text, you can see it indents it for each of those. Okay, so just like you'd see there in the book. All right. Okay, let's do, hopefully we'll be able to maybe get through 2 more here. Let's go ahead and close this one out. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about skipping 2.9, but we'll go ahead and do that one. All right, go ahead and close this. Let's open up our template file again. Okay, so open recent template. All right, so let's just title this one web design steps. All right, so in the body, let's start off with our top H1 heading here. Web design steps. All right, so if you're following along, we're on page 46 and 47 in the book. Okay, so we want to do an unordered list here. With each of those first lines in the list, we want to make those bold and kind of stand out. Okay, so remember we talked about how to do some of that. So we're going to start off with the UL tag here. All right, and then our first item, so we've got our LI. Move that guy down to the next line. All right, so we want that first line to be kind of bold. We're going to use that strong styling element. Okay, so it's going to say determine the intended audience. All right, and then we got the closing strong tag there, and then we want to do a like a hard return. So we're going to add in a line break. Okay, so BR. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter on the keyboard as well. Take it down and say the colors, images, fonts, layout should be tailored to the, all right. Okay, so in the figure 2.17, we want that preferences of your audience. We want that text to be italicized. Okay, so we're going to use emphasis element styling, so EM. And then in between those two, we're going to add the text there, so preferences of your audience. Okay, period. All right, so that should be styled to give it kind of that italicized look. Then the rest of the text here, the type, site content. Information, etc. Be appropriate. An audience. All right, and we got our closing list item. Okay, so let's save this one real quick. So save as in our chapter 2. We're just going to call this one design.html. And I just want to look at it here real quick and just make sure everything's working like we want it to. All right, so you can see we got our first item there, bulleted of our list. And then we have our line break right there after audience. And then you'll see here that preferences of your audience, we got that to italicize by using the emphasis styling element. Okay. Real quick, let's close that. I want to add in, so I'm not going to type out the rest of the text they have there. I'm just going to jump down to the bottom because I want to show you how to do that copyright. Okay, so after that unordered list, so line 13, I'm going to do a return here. I'm going to go ahead and add an extra line break just to give it some extra space. And we're going to do another paragraph element. And we want it to be kind of small since it's going to be kind of in the footer. Okay, so we're going to use that small element tag. And it's going to say copyright. Okay, so remember for those special characters, we have to code them a little differently. We start with the ampersand. And for the copyright symbol, we just type copy and then semicolon. Okay, so you can kind of see, well, when I was typing that, brackets kind of gave me some choices as well. Okay, so it kind of helps you out. 2018, all rights reserved. And then we got our closing small tag and our closing P tag paragraph element. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to save this and take a look. All right, so you can kind of see there, the text is a lot smaller than the paragraph up here because we added that small styling to it. We got our little copyright symbol. Okay. So remember, there's a lot of different ones that you can find. There's like the ampersand, but all of those start out with the ampersand and then a little bit of code, and they always end with a semicolon. All right, so pretty much out of time. I can't get started on the next one. We won't have enough time to finish it. So before we end here, I'm going to show you guys what you'll want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and close brackets out. So when you're ready to submit your files into Canvas, so this is the folder, remember, that we've been saving our stuff into, the My Chapter 2. Go ahead and just right click on that. And then down here, there's an option that says send to compressed zip folder. Right, so again, this is just the default tools with Windows. There's other applications you can download for compression and uncompressing files, but this should work. So hit that, and it just created a zip folder there on the desktop. And let me jump back to Canvas. When you are ready to submit something, let me jump, I gotta go to the student view here for a second. Where's the student view? Here we go. Okay, so like class activity chapter 2, when you're ready to submit that, hit the submit assignment button. And then down here in file upload, you can hit choose file. And we'll go to the desktop. And you'll see here that My Chapter 2, this one has the little zipper icon on it. That's the one you'll want to choose. Go ahead and hit open. And you can put comments in there if you want. If you need to tell me anything specific. Submit assignment. And then that will upload that zip file so I can take a look at it. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing here for a second. Okay, I'm gonna be on campus on Friday in TC 163, and kind of what I'm gonna plan to do, anyone that wants to come to campus, you can go ahead and sign up, and hopefully we'll be able to fit everybody in there that wants to come. If not, I do have some other spaces on campus that we can try to get you in. But I'm gonna go ahead and Zoom while I'm in there in the classroom. And if you're there with me, you can code along with the computers that we have in the lab. I think we have like 11 spaces available for students. And I'm gonna just continue through the rest of these hands-on activities for the chapter 2, because the rest of these here will take a little bit longer to get through. But we'll be able to get through them on Friday. So I'll go through those, I'll Zoom, I'll record it. So if you're not able to come to campus, you'll just be able to watch the YouTube video of that, okay? And of course, if you have any questions, email me, send me a text, and I'll help you out, okay?
So just to be clear, our homework for the weekend is to get the rest of those activities done in the book.
Yes, get the activities done, and also that first case study, which is on page, it starts on page 73, okay? And so the case study, basically what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be putting together a couple files that look exactly pretty much the same format as what we're doing with these hands-on activities, okay? It's going to use the exact same steps that we've done with these hands-on ones. It's just that you're going to kind of basically be the kind of the start of this website that you'll be creating for the case study.
So it's on page 74, like the hands-on practice case studies, what you want us to do?
Mm-hmm, yeah, and just the Pacific Trails one, that's the only one we're going to be doing. In the book, it has like 3 or 4 different ones. There's like a Fish Creek Animal Clinic and some kind of a yoga studio. The only one that we're going to be doing is the Pacific Trails. So you guys don't have to worry about those other ones.
For the class activity assignment, are we just turning in what we did today, or are we waiting to turn that in on Friday after you did everything?
Yeah, you'll want to go ahead and continue to work through everything on Friday.
Okay, so that assignment is for Friday, okay.
Yeah, yep. Cool. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and I'll see those of you that want to come to campus then. Like I said, I encourage you to come to campus, and I'll be in the lab, and I'll continue coding through the rest of these practice activities. And like I said, I'll record that as well in case you can't make it. But we'll get through chapter 2, and you guys will be on your way then for doing some cooler stuff for the semester. Alrighty, it's 1:20, so I'm gonna let you guys go. We'll see you later.